Imagine this, something so small, so ordinary. A needle. Now imagine that same needle launched at the speed of light, faster than anything in the universe, sharper than any weapon ever made. What would happen if it struck the Earth? Would it pierce straight through the planet? Would it tear open reality itself? Or would something far stranger unfold? Something no human mind could ever prepare for. Stay with me, because what you are about to hear is not science fiction. It is a terrifying possibility, based on real physics, that could change everything we think we know about the universe. So, what if a single needle hit the Earth at the speed of light? The sky was silent, the kind of silence that feels unnatural, like the air itself is holding its breath. People stood outside, confused, staring upward at a strange glimmer slicing across the horizon. It was thin, so thin, it was almost invisible. But it moved with a speed no eye could follow, a sliver of light, sharper than any blade, more focused than any weapon. It was not a comet, it was not a star, it was something else, a single needle, racing towards Earth at the speed of light. The air seemed to vibrate, though no sound came. Birds froze in mid-flight, their wings twitching against the unnatural tremor. The ground hummed, like metal struck with a hidden hammer, and then came the first ripple. The sky bent, not cracked, not broken. Bent, like glass warping under unbearable heat. Shadows stretched longer than they should have. Every reflection in every window twisted into something alien. People reached for their ears, but there was no sound, only pressure. An invisible weight pressing on their skulls, on their chests, on their thoughts. The needle had not even touched the Earth yet. It was still tearing through the atmosphere, ripping molecules apart, creating a trail of burning silence. But every second, the sensation grew stronger. Metal streetlights buzzed as though filled with static. Phones died in pockets. Screens flickered, and then an instant of pure white. No explosion, no fire, just light. Light so intense it felt solid, like the world itself had been pierced. For a heartbeat, everyone saw nothing but brilliance. And then the ground shuddered. Not an earthquake, something sharper, like the planet's very skin had been stabbed. Buildings swayed, glass cracked, animals shrieked somewhere. Deep beneath the earth, the pressure shifted, like a wound opening in stone, and still the needle kept going, straight down, straight through, leaving behind a corridor of annihilation so thin it was almost nothing, so destructive that reality itself seemed to curl around its path. The air no longer smelled like air. It carried a metallic sting, sharp and cold, burning in the throat with every breath. The horizon itself began to shimmer, as if the world was being pulled inside out. And then the shimmer spread. It rolled outward from the impact line, faster than wind, faster than fire. It was not destruction in the way people knew it. It was erasure. Street corners blurred, cars lost their edges, melting into outlines before dissolving into nothing. Shadows no longer followed their owners. They stretched across walls, across streets, independent and alive. People screamed, but the screams came out distorted, echoing twice, like voices trapped in a cavern that did not exist. The ground rippled again, not upward, downward, as though the earth itself was folding in on the scar left by the needle. From space, satellites recorded something terrifying. A thin, perfect line had carved itself through the atmosphere, glowing white-hot, and from that line, energy poured outward, expanding in a sphere too fast to comprehend. On the ground, time seemed fractured. Seconds stretched. The blink of an eye became unbearable. A single heartbeat felt like an eternity, and then came the sound. It was not thunder. It was not an explosion. It was something deeper, a low, crushing roar that seemed to rise from beneath the bones, as if the planet itself was screaming. Windows shattered instantly. Steel groaned like it was alive, and in that moment, people understood. This was not just an impact. This was a tear. A needle moving faster than anything in existence had pierced reality itself. The air flickered. Colors bled out of the sky. Blue drained into black. Clouds smeared like wet paint. And at the center of it all, the needle's path glowed impossibly bright. Like a scar across the universe, every compass spun without control. Every magnetic field collapsed. Machines fell silent. Hearts pounded in chaos. And then the earth itself began to split. The crack was thin at first, just a line in the dirt, barely wider than a fingertip. But it spread, faster than fire, faster than thought. It zigzagged across streets, across mountains, across oceans. The earth groaned, not like stone, not like metal, but like something alive, wounded beyond repair. Buildings tipped as if the ground beneath them was being peeled away. Water surged from harbors, dragged toward the invisible wound, sucked into the abyss. The sky pulsed again, every star blurred. Some disappeared entirely, as if the needle had punched a hole through space itself, letting the night leak away. People ran, but where could they run? The streets buckled beneath their feet. The air carried a bitter taste, sharp like burning iron. making every breath ache. Shadows no longer obeyed. They twisted and writhed, pointing toward the glowing scar that burned through the world. Animals fled in silence, their instincts already aware of something beyond human comprehension. And then came the pull. It was not gravity. It was not wind. It was something deeper, a force that dragged at bone, at blood, at thought. Children clutched at their parents, screaming as toys and clothes lifted from the ground, sucked toward the endless white fissure. The needle had not stopped. It was still moving, still carving, still piercing through the very heart of the earth. And with each fraction of a second, reality bent further. The moon shifted in the sky, trembling like a coin about to fall from a table. Tides rose without warning, walls of water racing inland, pulled by forces they could not resist. The ground shook again, harder this time. The sound was deafening, like the tearing of an endless sheet of metal stretched across the world. And then, silence. For a single, unbearable moment, nothing moved. Not the wind, not the waves, not even time itself. And in that silence, the earth exhaled, as if it had reached its breaking point. The silence broke. A single flash split the horizon. It was not fire. It was not destruction. It was release. The earth shuddered once more. And then, everything seemed to slow. Mountains leaned into the glow. Oceans folded inward, drawn as if the planet was being gathered into a single point. The sky itself collapsed into the wound, stars stretching like threads of light before snapping out of existence. No explosion followed, no mushroom cloud, no trace of fire, only absence. Where the earth had been, there was now a shimmering scar in the void, thin as the path of the needle that had carved it. A silence deeper than any ever known lingered, a silence so vast, it felt eternal, and for the first time, the universe seemed to pause, as though even the cosmos was asking a question it could not answer. What happens when reality itself is pierced?